There was my life before Vanderpump Rules, and now is my life after Vanderpump Rules. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. One fateful day on my live stream while I was covering Love is Blind Season 5, I mentioned offhand that I might start watching Vanderpump Rules. I kind of want to watch Vanderpump Rules the last season because earlier this year I had heard the term Scandoval become really big, and I was annoyed that I had no idea what they were talking about. Eventually I gathered that it was something about Vanderpump Rules, a show I had heard about but had no idea any other facts about it. And then someone on the live stream was kind enough to send me this article that Bravo themselves had put together about what select episodes to watch from each season in order to get caught up on the Scandoval scandal. And that article was so helpful because as soon as I learned more about Vanderpump Rules, I learned it had 10 seasons, and instantly I was overwhelmed because it's just one of those shows or things that already has such a history that it's hard to get into. It's like why I've never really gotten into Star Wars, because it just feels like the universe is so huge already. Like, what's the point? It would take so long to catch up. So it was definitely intimidating, just like starting any show or thing that has a lot of installments to it already. But I decided to be brave and take that leap, and I'm so glad I did. I will link that article below if you're interested. I feel like so many people are completionists, and the idea of jumping around sounds stressful. But I'm not one of those people. I am happy to skip around to the meat of the situation, and then if I like it, I can watch more episodes or go back to the beginning, which is exactly what I did with Vanderpump Rules. So I went ahead and watched everything to catch up with Scandoval that the article mentioned. I did my homework very diligently, and then I enjoyed the show so much that I went back to episode 1 and started from the beginning, and now I'm like midway through season 3, which those first few seasons are golden, they're amazing. So I've been having a lot of fun. I don't know if I will watch every single episode because there are some seasons where the cast changes so much that I don't know if it's as interesting to me. There's 1 or 2 seasons somewhere in that middle ground that people seem to really not like. I've delved a little bit into the Vanderpump Rules subreddit, and it helped me get a sense of what kind of each season feels like. So I'll see how far I get in my rewatch. I might skip around on the dud seasons, but it is crazy because I truly feel like my brain chemistry has been altered by this show. And I want to answer the question, is it worth watching? Yeah, kind of it is. Vanderpump Rules, which started airing in 2013, follows Lisa Vanderpump, who comes from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and the staff at Lisa's restaurant, Sir. We see a lot of ventures later on of the cast trying to open restaurants and kind of follow in Lisa's footsteps. The cast is also openly trying to be models or actors, or some of them are working models and working actors, but they're trying to break into the entertainment industry. It's kind of like the stereotype of every waiter in LA is an actor, It kind of plays into that. I was just kind of blown away by this show, and it's just a bunch of hot people who sold their soul to the devil, aka Andy Cohen, in order to be on TV. It's as if a bunch of middle schoolers were given autonomy and money. They always talk about banging each other and banging this and we banged and things like that, and I'm just do adults talk like that? I mean, I do think hot people just live in a different universe than I do, because in the early seasons they're kind of a little bit broke, some of them. I mean, they're scraping by and have shitty apartments and things, but they're also focused on the glamour, like they get spray tans and waxes and eyebrow threading and nose job, plastic surgery, and also everyone is cheating all the time. This friend group that the show focuses on, it's like if the popular clique from a teen movie came to life. And in most teen movies, there's a nerd in the story. This movie does not have a nerd in the story. I guess relatively, you know, there's always someone on the outs, but you know, there's no like Katie Heron in the story. Ever since I started Vanderpump Rules, I feel like this meme with the Kardashians, because I've been keeping up with the Kardashians, literally watching the new updated like Hulu version of the reality show, and it's not my favorite show to watch. I don't particularly enjoy it, but you know, every Thursday when it comes out, I'm just like, oh, I'll put it on in the background and whatever. For the Kardashians, I find interesting like seeing what a mega celebrity's life is behind the scenes. So when they do like big events or like a big memeable moment happens on the show, I like to see like the behind the scenes. Like when Kim did the interview that's like, get your fucking ass up and work. It was interesting to see that be filmed on the show and just kind of like the behind the scenes of that interview. Those are the few rare moments on the Kardashians that like I like, but compared to Vanderpump Rules, the Kardashians are like such a snooze. There's really no conflict. They're so rich and famous that it's like they have nothing to work towards. In Vanderpump Rules, when the show starts, all of them are like waiters and bartenders and hostesses and things like that. They are living pretty much like more regular people in society and not mega rich. I think that heightens the stakes a lot. These people have a lot less to lose, and I think that made the drama so good, especially in those earlier seasons. As the seasons go on, they do start becoming like famous reality TV celebrities and like influencers, and they don't really work at the restaurant anymore, and it's definitely not as interesting as a reality show. But it's still way more interesting than the Kardashians, because kind of like as the Vanderpump Rules seasons go on and these people gain like a little bit of fame, it kind of compares to like the feeling of the early seasons of the Kardashians, where the Kardashians are just kind of getting famous. They're only known as reality TV stars. Back then, the Kardashians were way more interesting. And it's just been interesting for me to like compare the two, because I don't watch too many of these types of reality shows. Mostly I prefer competitive reality TV. This docu-style feels very like forced and fake. This is also Bravo, which is like home to the Real Housewives, the Below Decks. There's just so many spin-offs that you're just like, well, how real could this all possibly be? But Vanderpump Rules really is something special, and like if you like reality TV, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It maybe is kind of like Selling Sunset a bit, but again, those early seasons are even more interesting just because the glamour is not all there. This video is a little bit different because I am watching a show that is old. I am obviously late to the party. Vanderpump Rules came out in like, I want to say like 2012-ish. So this video is not necessarily going to be like a play-by-play recap of 10 seasons of a show that I haven't even finished watching. I want this video to be for two different audiences. One is if you've never seen Vanderpump Rules, you have no idea what the word Scandoval means. I want to provide like a semi-thorough but also pretty abridged summary of what happened. That way you have like a base level understanding. Unless you want to go watch the show and then come back to this video, you do you. Scandoval is like a cheating scandal. You might have heard that part of it. So it's definitely juicy if you just like drama, if you just like cheesemate, if you just like the tea. This is an interesting, wild and dramatic story of cheating. But I want this video to also be for people that have watched Vanderpump Rules, have been fans for a longer time than me, have followed the cast for longer, remember like when things aired, how it felt. And I would love to hear from y'all, the Vanderpump Rules fandom, in the comments. In order to serve these two audiences, I want to do a recap portion of Scandoval and the relationships in Vanderpump Rules first, and then I will talk about each cast member, what comes to mind about each one, what I thought of their role in Scandoval, if that's relevant. If you're a fan of the show, you can tell me like if you agree, disagree, who you like as a cast member, who you don't. If some things I say are like a popular opinion or an unpopular opinion, I really don't know because I'm so new to this fandom, this game. And then once season 11 comes, allegedly it's around early 2024, then I will kind of go into maybe more normal recaps of the season. Just depends if y'all want more Vanderpump Rules content. I would love to cover season 11 in real time, or just like when season 11 ends, I can do a video on it. I don't know. But season 11 is gonna be very interesting because the show really kind of had like a breaking point at the end of season 10. Just let me know if you like Vanderpump content and if you want more of it, because you know I will be seated for season 11. It might get canceled in one more season, but I will be here till the end. So I want to get into my recap, and I decided to do this segment of the video on a live stream. I don't know if anyone's going to show up to the live stream. It doesn't really matter because I was going to record my screen while I was talking anyway. So this segment was going to look like a live stream no matter what. If you're a big fan of Vanderpump Rules and don't want a recap of relationships, you can just skip to the next part. I have timestamps down below. I will be back here in this setup talking about my impressions of each of the characters. So this version of me will see you there. Also, this is the live stream setup if you've never joined a live stream before. Oh, and I forgot to mention in the video that you can watch episodes of Vanderpump Rules on the Peacock app. That has every episode, seasons 1 through 10. A lot of people like hate on Peacock, but like if you're into Bravo, that is the place. This is why I was late. I was prepping my artboard. These are the episodes I watched. Vanderpump Rules has 10 seasons, and it's been going for like 10 years. It's like a season per year. Every season they film in the summer, and it usually comes out like early the following year. I mostly watched a lot of season 2 and some of 3. A little bit of the middle seasons, like 5 and 6. Some of the people are there from the beginning through the end. Some people come and go. So the cast does kind of fluctuate. And then seasons 9 and 10 is really when that Scandoval stuff starts brewing. Season 9 a little bit. And then season 10 is when it develops. And season 10 is the latest season. It aired in early 2023. The early seasons, they're kind of the golden era of Vanderpump. I don't really know because I haven't seen all the seasons, but I'm pretty sure. The drama in these early seasons, mostly season 2, kind of lays the foundation of that relationship that ends up being the Scandoval cheating scandal. So it's basically when Tom Sandoval and his girlfriend that he cheated on get together. At the top I have this key for like relationships. Some of them are a little gray and in between and go back and forth, but I'm just going to choose what makes the most sense for each relationship. Let me just start with Peter. He is not that important at all. He is the Sir manager. All these people work at a restaurant together. Peter doesn't really get in much drama, but he has hooked up with like some of the women, mainly these two. This early season 2 drama is not that relevant to Scandoval. Like some of these people go away by the time Scandoval is happening, but it is really juicy. Let me move on to Stassi, who is kind of like the main character in the beginning. She's like the queen bee, Regina George energy, but in a good way. She's problematic, but she is so fierce.
Write a little about yourself. Wine, brunch, my dogs, murder.
Jax is so lucky that I wasn't at Scheana's party because I've always wanted to impale someone and cut off their head and have it on a spike in my apartment. It's like, it would have been a perfect opportunity.
Is this your birthday or is it my birthday? It's like, it's my birthday.
The world revolves around Stassi. She's a bit spoiled and has like princess energy, but like she is in a very tumultuous relationship with Jax at the beginning of the series. They are exes most of the time, In season 1, they're a little bit on and off, but by season 2, he has messed up too much because he is a cheater. You guessed it. Like, he's just kind of dumb, and so he kind of gets tired of lying sometimes, and then like truths just slip out, but you never know what to trust because he is so much of a liar all the time and is always covering his own ass. In these seasons, he's also like a total simp for Stassi. In these first few seasons, the 3 main boys of the cast are really tight. Jax is really close with Tom Sandoval and with Tom Schwartz over here. Tom Sandoval at that time is dating Kristen. They are tumultuous. They are always fighting. This becomes like a whole triangle because these two end up hooking up while Kristen and Tom Sandoval are together. She has like a little affair, a hookup with Jax.
Kristen's relationship is bullshit. So, you know what? She's gotta get laid. So do I. I sleep good at night, so okay.
Did you use protection? Once.
Tom Sandoval is kind of the man of the hour of like the latest scandal. His vibe is very hipster douche of that time. He like wears a beanie and tank tops and just has that vibe of like early 2010s male fashion. I mean, I'm gonna put this, I mean it kind of lightheartedly because I don't diagnose people and don't know. I don't know if he's like clinically narcissistic, but he seems like it, and I can't spell it for some reason. He's really obsessed with his appearance. By now, he has a mustache. See, this is what he looks like these days. He has a mustache. In these early seasons, he's kind of like the victim of a cheating situation. And it's not dissimilar to the Scandoval thing because it's a double betrayal in that his long-term girlfriend cheated on him, but also with his close friend Jax. But he also can't be too mad because he was also frequently cheating on Kristen. And he cheated on her with someone else that was not part of the show, and probably cheated on her a bunch of times, just knowing him. Very much a serial cheater and liar. He's worse with the lying than Jax because he like takes his shit to the grave.
I just want you to be happy.
He cheated on Kristen. Kristen cheated on Tom. They cheated on each other.
I don't deny the fact that I cheated on you. I cheated on you. I did.
So that made the scandal not be as big a deal as what Scandoval became. And what he did with Ariana apparently he made out with her.
3 years ago, me and Ariana made out in a swimming pool at the Golden Nugget. Yes, that did happen.
The Golden Nugget?
Yeah.
That's like an all-time low.
Are you kidding me? I love that place.
She has very much like a cool hipster Tumblr girl aesthetic. She doesn't really fight with the rest of the cast. I guess I didn't describe Kristen very well at all. Kristen is just kind of unhinged in these early seasons. She was like mad the whole season at Tom for cheating on her when she had cheated too. And she would later like try to take down their relationship. She's just really messy. And her sleeping with Jax was a big betrayal to Stassi because they were best friends and she kept saying like, ew, I would never sleep with Jax, your ex-boyfriend. And then later it was found out she did sleep with Jax and like would comfort Stassi because Stassi originally broke up with Jax because he cheated on her, not with Kristen, with someone else because he's a cheater. Like these guys are like cheater, pumpkin eaters. They were best friends and then they became frenemies from the drama. So another couple here, the last couple we haven't talked about is Katie and Tom Schwartz. They are that couple in the friend group that like has been together forever. I feel like every friend group has that couple. They are long-term dating and married. They live together. Katie is kind of like a cool girl, very like women supporting women. I don't know why that comes to mind, but like she's kind of a girl's girl. She kind of does in these early seasons play like second fiddle to like the queen bee Stassi. or whoever the queen bee ends up being. But she still gets a decent amount of screen time and has grown a lot over the seasons. And let me put the best friend line here to make it clear. So Katie is long-term dating Schwartz. He also like cheats on her at some point, but it's less severe than the other guys.
I went to like an after party and actually did like make out with that girl.
Tom Schwartz is like really weird because I feel like I hate him almost the most, or I hate him kind of irrationally. Spineless is maybe the word, and jobless. Like in these early seasons, he's like whining about having to work, and he doesn't work, so I'm like, does Katie pay the bills? I'm not quite clear on that. He's just always best friends with the guys, even though they treat women horribly and they are always cheating on them and lying to them. He will like cover for them. He's always also happy to be like the best buddy to the guys and doesn't like seem to want the spotlight and want to be the main character all the time. When you start getting into these middle seasons, the relationships change. Actually, so getting into like season 3 and onward. So Tom leaves Kristen. They break up because of this cheating scandal. And he's really mad at Jax too. He ends up like punching him. They become exes, Kristen and Tom Sandoval. And then immediately Tom and Ariana start dating. So it really seems weird that like so quickly Tom Sandoval moved on to Ariana. But everyone was fine with it because Kristen was like the bad guy here because she cheated so blatantly with Tom's best friend that, you know, Tom kind of got a pass to start dating whoever. They claim they just kissed while he was with Kristen. Like they didn't, you know, bang, as everyone on the show loves to say. But they did seem to have some, like, questionable texts with each other. It kind of seemed like an emotional affair of some sort. But they become, like, a solid, monogamous, longer-term couple. There is kind of a moment early in their relationship where there are allegations that Tom cheated on her with, like, a stripper or a bottle service girl or whatever. And he denies it, and she decides to publicly just trust him that nothing happened.
We had sex. We had sex.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. You're such a liar right now. Shut the fuck up. You're lying. Okay, you're listening. My boyfriend, shut the fuck up.
I think now it's more clear that like that was for real, or at least that's what Ariana believes. And I can't believe I forgot about Scheana completely and just left her out of this first round. Scheana's not that important to the Scandoval thing. She's like often on the outs. She starts like as a new waitress in like the first episode, so she's kind of like that introduction to the world we get. She is very much to me like a pick-me girl. She's always saying like, oh, I just prefer to be one of the guys and shit like that. She is close with Ariana in these early seasons. They're best friends. Most of the time, she is frenemies with all the other girls. I mean, like I said, she prefers hanging out with the boys. She is frenemies with Katie and Kristen. It's just always back and forth with them. Like, occasionally Stassi and Scheana were best friends, and then they weren't. So getting into later seasons, so once Kristen and Tom break up, he's with Ariana. Kristen starts dating, but it's kind of more like hooking up because they don't last. This guy starts coming in season 2 a little bit and then gets a bigger role as the seasons go on. He's very much like clout chaser vibes. He's British, that's one thing. Like camera hungry, he kind of has clout chaser vibes. He becomes a main character of Vanderpump Rules in later seasons. And he becomes important in the Scandoval thing, just kind of like by proxy. Oh my god, I forgot over here. Really quick, Lisa Vanderpump owns the restaurant they all work at. She's in like every episode, but like doesn't have drama surrounding her. And then Andy Cohen, everyone's god. Lisa's boss. This is the Bravo universe after all. In these middle seasons, not too much on Scandoval happens because basically Tom and Ariana are solid as a couple through the seasons up until literally season 10. Kristen, Stassi, and Jax all kind of eventually make their way out of the group. Okay, let me bring in the new blood. In season 5, Raquel comes in because she is like seriously dating James. These two become exes pretty quickly. He was just there for the clout. Actually, let's move her over here. You know the tea. She needs to be over here. Rachel is like a pageant girl. She's pretty young, like mid-20s, compared to everyone being more like early 30s to late 30s. And that's something interesting about the guys here, like Jax and Tom Sandoval. They're kind of old. I always think of Vanderpump people as like in their 20s. And a lot of the women are, but the guys are like in their 30s. Now in their 40s, actually. Also in these middle seasons, this new main character comes in named Lala. She's not terribly important for Scandoval, but she does hook up with James as a fling. And James actually cheats on Raquel with Lala. I feel like she gets brought in to sort of fill the Stassi void, because even though Stassi is around in those seasons, she's cooled off a bit and has like a relationship outside the group and wants less of the drama. As much as Stassi made shady comments about people all the time and whatnot, she never cheated on anybody, and I feel like she's the only one aside from maybe Katie. Also, Lala with the girls kind of has a complicated relationship in the beginning, but eventually they become friends. Let's get to the eventually, because this is already such a mess. So in seasons 9 and 10 is when the Scandoval thing really started. I think we're gonna have to reorganize our board. And basically what Scandoval is, at the end of season 9, Raquel and James break up. And they'd been together for a while.
We've decided to break off the engagement. And it's been something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I think that James has noticed that my heart hasn't been fully in it.
They were actually engaged in season 9. It was like a big episode. James did a whole Coachella theme, like made their own Coachella, basically, call it Rachella, to propose to her. And the weirdest part of it all was that like Tom Sandoval, James and Sandoval were kind of best friends at the time, but like Tom Sandoval ended up paying for like at least half of Rachella, and it was like tens of thousands of dollars. Why would you spend like over $10,000 on someone else's engagement? It's very bizarre. There's no information that they were having an affair at that time, especially because like if she's getting engaged to him, why would he help her get engaged to someone else if they're having an affair? I don't understand it. But anyway, they were engaged, and then at the reunion they were like, JK, we broke up. So then in season 10, this happens. While this line is still very much red. These two are not even there anymore. Kristen's gone, Stassi's gone, Jax is gone. Jax ended up married with Brittany. That's not that significant because they're gone by season 10. That's where he ended up. Stassi got married with someone else. She had kids. Peter, he's barely there. Let's get rid of him too. So all those people are gone. These are the main cast members in seasons like 9 and 10. And it sucks because honestly, this trio made the show what it was. They're so messy. Oh, okay. I forgot to mention. Katie and Schwartz in this seasons 9 and 10, they were married in the middle season somewhere. I think twice even. But they got divorced at the beginning of season 10. They also split up at the end of season 9. Season 10 was a lot about like everyone's single again. These two are single. They haven't been single in forever. And Rachel is single and James Kennedy is single. James gets a girlfriend pretty quickly. It's named Allie. She seems pretty young, but she seems down for the show. And she is kind of important because she notices something with Scandoval and kind of helps the rumor, which is a true rumor, start getting spread in season 10.
I saw Sandoval and Raquel dancing together at the Abbey.
I thought it was kind of weird. It was like 1 a.m. and we were like, where's Ariana?
And by this point, Rachel is best friends with Scheana. and with Ariana. She is kind of frenemy with Katie and Lala. Raquel kind of has issues with the girls. In season 10, Rachel keeps trying to flirt with Tom Schwartz, who is freshly divorced from Katie. It pisses Katie off, and so the whole season, Katie hates Rachel. She was just kind of diverting that this was going on, this orange right here, this hookup, by like flirting with Tom Schwartz, because they didn't really have any chemistry. That's kind of like the groundwork for Scandoval. These are the people involved in Scandoval, like we already covered. Ariana and Tom Sandoval were together for many years, and he had like a 8-9 month long affair with Raquel/Rachel. She looked more like this when the whole scandal was happening, and he looked more like that. The way this happened was like they wrapped shooting season 10, and then they found out that Tom had this affair, and basically the camera crew had to come back and start filming the drama unfold. You watch a lot of season 10, like every episode, there's very few small clues, but nothing major. And then the finale of the season is where they picked up the cameras again and the whole thing broke, and it shook up the entire cast.
2 days ago, Raquel was in New York with Scheana doing Watch What Happens Live. My band was performing at Tom Tom in LA for the release of my new single, and when I was performing, my phone fell out of my pocket, and somebody handed it to Ariana for safekeeping.
Call it woman's intuition, call it light bulb, call it whatever. Literally in that moment, I went, I know this. In his camera roll, I found a screen recording of Raquel and Tom on FaceTime. My stomach dropped in my ass.
I would normally delete something like that, but it had been such a busy, chaotic day, so I quickly got us outside so everyone around us couldn't dress off.
I found this timeline. I did not make it myself. The creator of this beautiful, full Scandoval timeline on Reddit, Garnier Fruit Trees. Thank you. Most of the cheating affair that went on happened from summer 2022 through early spring of 2023. This timeline starts way earlier than that because there are maybe some shady things going on as early as 2021. There were theories in the comments that Raquel cutting her hair short like attracted Tom Sandoval because he likes short hair, I guess. This is the Rachella event that we talked about already, where she got engaged to James Kennedy, and then the reunion where they announced they were no longer together. Reunions usually get filmed like early in the year, so around the time the show's episodes are airing. So a lot of this stuff includes like social media posts where they were together and that only in hindsight are kind of sussy. After Rachel ends the engagement with James Kennedy, she's kind of living this single life. She ends up like dating Peter on the show. The original Peter. Where is he? That Peter, the manager of the restaurant. Then she like cuts him off. This summer is where shit starts to go down because season 10 starts filming. Also, Tom Sandoval turns 40 apparently in July 2022, and I'm just like, he is too old. And he might be lying about his age. I didn't know that part. August 2022. There's this girls' trip to Vegas. All the girls are on it. It's actually meant to be Katie celebrating her divorce. And she invites all the girls, even though they kind of don't like Rachel. Like, Rachel also makes out with some guy. Both her and Lala are kind of competing for. They both want to make out with him because they're both, like, newly single, trying to live that single life in Vegas or whatever. Lala ends up saying, like, you go make out with him. His name is Oliver. He's not that relevant, but Lala's like, you go make out with him. But then that whole rest of the night, Lala's, like, salty that she let Rachel have him and keeps like making digs at her and hating on her. And at a certain point, she's like, I wouldn't trust you around my man. And then Rachel's like, good thing you don't like, have a man. And the girls get super offended and they hate Rachel that night. They also make fun of her galaxy light. And I was mad because I felt bad for Rachel and she turned out to be the evil one. So anyway, so in this girls trip, they like move from Vegas to Havasu, which is maybe like an Arizona town. And in the car, Rachel has like a mental breakdown, like a panic attack about being lost and all this stuff. And the girls comfort her. And it was kind of like a good bonding moment. When they arrive at Havasu, this other girl named Charlie, who's also not super relevant, comes in and like her and Rachel are like annoyed about the other girls and how they're being bullies to Rachel and whatever. The point is that Rachel ends up leaving the girls' trip prematurely. She decides to go crash guys' night, which the guys of the show are having back home. And of course, at that guys' night, guess who's there? Yeah, exactly. That guys' night becomes important because allegedly that night was the first time Rachel and Tom Sandoval hooked up. It was either that or like 2 days after, something like that. That guys' night is like the milestone night of like the affair beginning. The other crazy thing is that Ariana was supposed to be on this girls' trip, and early on in the trip, she had to leave because her dog had an emergency and ended up passing away. That was Charlotte. So basically from there, like, Rachel is beefing with all the girls. And Ariana is starting to go through like a really tough summer because she loved her dog, obviously, and was like super devastated by that loss. One of the main things about this scandal and why it's like worse than other cheating in the show, because everyone cheats on the show, and I kept asking myself, like, why the hell is this cheating scandal significant? And one thing about it is that Tom Sandoval is such a liar. He can't keep his story straight, and there's so many versions of the story that it's hard to keep track. Rachel says she and Tom kissed at guys' night, and Tom revealed that him and Rachel had sex in the car after guys' night. At first, the story is that they just kissed. Tom Sandoval loves to downplay it and say, oh, we just kissed. This pool party is not that significant. Just the girls really hate Rachel. And it's ironic because she keeps telling Lala, where's Lala? Which I understand, Rachel and Lala have beef because James cheated with Lala on Rachel when they were together. Rachel keeps calling Lala like a mistress, a bimbo mistress. Mistress. They kept talking about being mistresses in season 10 when Rachel was the mistress, like, this whole time. So after that, next significant moment is Scheana has a wedding in Mexico. Her two best friends in the group are bridesmaids, of course. What's significant about that is that at the very end, Rachel came clean about some things. It's hard to know if it's everything, if it's some things. Her and Tom hooked up in Mexico. They've already hooked up back here. They've started the affair at guys' night. She also kisses Tom Schwartz, I assume as a diversion, because she kisses him in front of everybody, but her and Tom hooking up, that is not on camera. Basically on this trip, still beefing with all the girls, except Ariana. Like, Rachel and Ariana are on good terms, and Rachel and Scheana are on good terms. She is beefing with the other girlies. These two, and her a little bit, because her ex is dating her. So then there's this Labor Day party. Tom Sandoval is at the Labor Day party, so is Rachel. And during that party, I guess, or around that time, Ariana's grandmother passed away. Sandoval, instead of leaving the party to like comfort Ariana and be with her, this is his long-term girlfriend, basically wife, he stays at the party. And he also is sneaky about telling her like, oh, I couldn't leave the party because I couldn't get an Uber, my ride left. He makes all these excuses, but then later Lala confronts him.
Tom Sandoval came to the barbecue that I was at in Newport. Ariana was calling him, and he didn't leave for another 2 hours. And he was with Raquel.
Right after this party, Ariana flies to the funeral for her grandmother, and Tom doesn't go with her. This is where it gets really bad as a scandal, because these guys are thick as thieves. They have a restaurant, multiple restaurants at this point, together. These two are best friends, the Toms. They have a bar called Tom Tom. They have a restaurant called Schwartz and Sandy's. Tom Schwartz was kind of the main accomplice in the affair. While Ariana's at the funeral, Tom Sandoval invites his best friend Tom Schwartz and Rachel to his house to have a pool party. Just those two people. They all three give conflicting stories about Rachel dipping out. Tom Sandoval's like, oh, Rachel left before the night, and then it's like, no, she spent the night but then dipped out in the morning. It was so confusing, but ultimately we find out that Rachel stayed in their house and banged Tom Sandoval while Ariana was at a funeral. That's one of those details that make the cheating scandal bigger than just a regular cheating scandal. Lisa finds out right away because Rachel comes in late the next morning to her job at SUR and is like, oh, I spent the night at Tom Sandoval's. They all go on a group trip for Rachel's birthday party. That's one of the most like weird things in hindsight because they go like glamping. PSA, not glamping. It's way more glam than pink. Her and Ariana have these tender one-on-one moments. Mind you, she is sleeping with her boyfriend, having a full-blown affair. And Ariana comforts her about like finding herself and also opens up about her own relationship troubles with Tom Sandoval. There's one scene in season 10 where Raquel buys a lightning bolt necklace. It's super expensive, by the way. I didn't realize at the moment. I thought it was just a dumb filler scene, but the lightning bolt is like Tom's thing. This lightning bolt, see there? And his necklace. He has a lightning bolt and she got a lightning bolt. You know, it's these like twisted little details that are gross. So the problems that Tom and Ariana have as a couple is mostly they don't spend a lot of quality time together. They do start like implying this and being open with friends and with the cameras about it. But Ariana always really trusts Tom. And even though Lala was over here trying to be like, why didn't Tom leave that pool party? And trying to like question him, his story was very inconsistent. Ariana was like, you know, I trust my man. Once filming wraps, all of the cast seems to say like, this is when the affair really started heating up. I guess it's probably easier to hide it without a bunch of reality TV cameras and producers hanging around. They went to the Life is Beautiful festival. No one thinks anything of it at the time. Their story, their side story is that this is where the banging started up again. Tom Sandoval kept trying to say like, oh, at guys' night, that's the only time we hooked up. We waited all the way to September to start up again, start an actual affair. She later says that is not the truth and that they were hooking up all in between those times and then a lot after this Life is Beautiful. And then at BravoCon, she gets a little more obvious. She has a picture of herself in like a Tom fan merch hoodie. Also, Tom Schwartz gets sloppy and tells Katie like, she's not there for me, trust me, which incriminates him to knowing about the affair earlier. Like, he was trying to lie and say he found out in January, like months after this. But then he got caught with this text. And then Tom dresses up as Rachel coming out of BravoCon as a fangirl for Halloween, which is just, you know, sociopath behavior. He's dressed up as his mistress.
I helped you do it.
You never felt like that was brazen or that you were leading the witness?
Hold on a second, you went as Halloween as Raquel after they slept together.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's so demented.
And then the holidays that year, he takes her back home to his home state to meet his family. Apparently his family didn't want to meet her. I didn't know there was this, or I don't remember this. This reunion for season 10 was in 3 parts, and each part was like an hour and a half. So there was a lot said at that reunion. They went to Big Bear on a trip for a fuckfest with Sandoval, Schwartz. I don't know who Spooky Joe is. Y'all fans, if y'all see this, need to tell me, who the hell is Spooky Joe? Tom Schwartz says Sandoval confessed his full... See, that's what I'm saying. Tom Schwartz at first is trying to say he found out in January that it was a full affair. I don't buy it. These are things that happen after filming, so a lot of the slide is, like, new to me. In January as well, Ariana and Sandoval have their 9-year anniversary. Oh my god, 9 years. And they go to a steak restaurant, and then later Tom Sandoval takes Rachel there after the reunion. I didn't know that, but these people are so messy. That's basically what happened with Scandoval. It's like a double betrayal, and she was comforting Ariana so much, like telling her like, oh, like, why don't you have more sex in your relationship and things like that, when it's like she's the mistress, like asking her to open up about her and Tom's sex life to her as a friend.
Do you feel like you're sexually attracted to him?
Oh my god, I think he's so fucking hot.
I feel like in a relationship you should want to like have sex.
And so now post Scandoval, and he had a new color. So now she is enemies with everybody. Everyone hates Rachel. These two are still best friends because, I mean, they covered up each other, but they're also like kind of hate each other. I think now that season 11 has filmed but has not aired, some of these relationships might be coming back. They have cooled off. She's kind of off the grid, laying low. She got a lot of hate for this, obviously, and so did he. But he's still on the show. She is not. I have no idea if this is intelligible to anybody. How could I forget this color? Obviously exes. I mean, honestly, also enemies. Ariana has been like so against Tom in a very like satisfying way too. She's like very much a woman scorned, especially at the reunion. This is her dress for the reunion. Like, hello. She's there to kill.
I just want to thank everybody for being with us. Yeah.
I loved how them two just got like cooked at the reunion. It was pretty funny. Like, everyone was turning against them. Yes, it's people's lives, so like I think about that too. But this group makes entertaining TV. Tom's side of this whole scandal is that he's been sort of blaming Ariana for the failures in their relationship, that they weren't having sex, spending time together, weren't connected. She would put him down a lot about his interests. At the reunion, he was really pushing that narrative, basically saying Ariana has fault in the failure of our relationship. And she might have some faults, but Tom Sandoval historically has lied about so many things that nobody takes his perspective seriously. In that case, especially when he did something so heinous, instead of just breaking up with her, if their relationship was bad, like, why not just break up? If you're wanting to have a relationship with someone else, why not just break up? So, hey, I'm back. I know that was a lot. If you happen to follow that train, then that means now you know what Scandoval is, or you've seen the show and know exactly what Scandoval is. But now I want to talk about just my thoughts on the show as a first-time watcher. I hope this might be interesting to even the biggest super fan, just to hear about someone discovering the show recently. I did see on the subreddit a lot of people mentioning, like, I got into this 2 months ago, I got into this 5 months ago, or I got into this right after Scandoval happened. Like, it does seem like it's a show that consistently gains new fans as time goes on, especially with the high profileness of like season 10's ending. I'm glad to be joining the party as late as I am. I want to talk about each person on the show, each cast member. I do keep calling them characters because I'm not even fully convinced that like Sir is a real restaurant. I'm just like, is this a set? Are there really customers in the background when they're having an important conversation on the show? It just feels so like difficult to like make that authentic. I don't know. I mean, maybe y'all that have followed it for a while know more tea about like how real or fake it is, but just in general, like with these types of reality shows, any Real Housewives series, any of those, I imagine every cast member we see is, you know, exaggerating this persona they're trying to present. We don't really know how they are in real life, so like I'm judging them as, you know, characters in a TV show more than like real people. I mean, it's hard because they are real people, they're real influencers out there. You can go to their restaurants technically and eat the food and make a reservation and all that. I just don't know. Some of the stuff they say, I'm just like, this is too good to not be like written by a comedy writer or something crazy. I don't know. And also, if I like praise a character or love a character, that doesn't mean I endorse them morally, because everyone on the show is problematic. Me liking a character is not any kind of commentary on their morality. Good moral people don't often make great reality TV. Occasionally they do, but most of the time it's people that are a little morally corrupt that make the best television. So I want to talk about Stassi first because I feel like in starting the show, she is the main character. She is the queen bee. She's a star. Those other two are just her little workers. Stassi is like so mother in this Vanderpump Rules. And speaking of like praising someone, but also like I don't think she's morally great. She's like every 2000s blonde mean girl, like melted together into one like final boss of bitchy mean girls. It's like she's Regina George and she's Cher from Clueless. She's Blair Waldorf. Like she is the perfect like spoiled brat bitchy mean girl, but like somehow has so much charisma that I was rooting for her. Like she's so fierce, and I want to know if she is like loved for being just great on the show, because there were points where her lines, I was just like, who wrote this? Because it's hilarious.
What do I tell guys when I meet them? Well, I spray tan once a week. I love a good blowout.
It's just not
And my exercise is shopping online.
It's not what you say. It's exactly not what
But that's who I am. And I'm really into murder.
Every single episode she's in, she eats, she serves, she devours the other cast members, and just like the commentary she gives, talks shit about everyone in the confessionals. What I don't get with all of these Bravo shows is like in the confessionals, they'll be like talking so much shit, and it's like, don't you know there's gonna be a 3-part 2-hour per part reunion with Andy Cohen at the end of this, where everyone's gonna see you're talking shit in the I don't know how they do that on Bravo so much. Stassi was just like the queen of that. Even though she's not involved in Scandoval, she left like in the first half of the series, kind of. She was the main character, and they never were able to fill that void. I feel like Lala Kent was their attempt to fill the Stassi void, and Lala did a good job of being very over the top, very dramatic, while also being very beautiful and like has this queen bee type energy. But it's not the same. No one could beat Stassi. I love that she was honest about her chin implant. She was getting full wax on camera, spreading her cheeks to the camera. She got hella screwed over by Jax in that first season. She was right all along, even though everyone turned on her and was on Jax's side. She never did anything like bad to Jax. She didn't cheat. She was there to like call out cheaters all the time. And honestly, all the boys hated Stassi for being such a queen and always like sussing out their shit and being in their business. So I think Stassi was just like perfect on this show, and I think her being on it is what made it like take off so smoothly and like have longevity. And then speaking of Stassi, we gotta talk about Jax. That boy is a monster. There's no guy I think of more than Jax when I hear the song Monsterr by Lady Gaga. Stream the Slater version on Spotify. That's also so good. Oh, such a great song. Amazing song. Okay, I have to gush about Lady Gaga every video, you know. But anyway, Jax is such a scary guy. All the guys on this show are terrifying because they are like pathological liars, pathological cheaters, if that even makes sense. I don't know. He's terrifying because he is really like charismatic and very attractive. Yeah, like him and Stassi, everyone would call them like Barbie and Ken, and I feel like everyone just wanted them to be together because they were both hot. He looks like the star football player, she's the head cheerleader, exactly that. But underneath, Jax is like rotted. He's so dangerous because he looks like a himbo and acts like one, but then in reality is a liar and a cheater. And he's also so unhinged. Like Stassi broke up with him and he got her name tattooed on his arm, which is just so ridiculous. He's like simping for Stassi in this first 2 seasons. It's so embarrassing. And then in later on, he gets a tattoo of some other girl's name that he barely dated for like a few months. Jax is so dumb, but also so evil. I feel like usually it's like, if you're dumb, you're nice. I don't know, but he's evil. He was evil enough to get cast on House of Villains, but he was so dumb, he was the first booted out, which just felt like the most Jax thing ever. It seems like now he has settled down. He's not really on the show anymore, which I was surprised because I was watching House of Villains and I assumed, oh, Jax must still be on Vanderpump. But in the later seasons, he wasn't really there anymore, especially that last season. But anyway, he's sort of settled down now with his wife, Brittany, and he has kids and everything. But I don't know. After all I've seen, I feel like I just will never trust him to stay faithful to a partner. He did cheat on the girl he married on the show, and that was like a whole moment. Just in those early seasons, he cheated on Stassi with Kristen. Or maybe he didn't cheat and they were on a break or something, but him and Stassi were still actively like on and off. And he hooked up with Stassi's best friend, Kristen. And he was also best friends with Kristen's boyfriend. Which just like, what? Like, his thing is like he's kind of a sex addict. I don't know if that was a plot on the show. I think it might have been. I think it might have been a plot on the show. So speaking of the devil, Kristen, let's talk about her next. She's also not in the later seasons. That cast in the first few seasons was just so top tier. Like, I was sad when I got to the later seasons and a lot of them were gone. And there was these new people and I'm like, who the hell are these people? But anyway, so Kristen was so unhinged, but it made the conflict so interesting those first few seasons. I don't know why this scene was so funny to me. She promises the girls that she's gonna break up with Tom. They're like in Mexico or somewhere. And then the next morning the girls are like, where's Kristen? Where's Kristen? And they go and they catch her in Tom's bed and they just yell at her for like not breaking up with Tom, even though she had like promised them and she had gotten convinced. The choices she made those first few seasons like are ridiculous. The whole season 2, she's like, ew, I would never hook up with Jax. He's disgusting. He's a brother to me.
Yes, we saw together.
She had hooked up with him. And also that whole season, she's pissed at Tom Sandoval for cheating on her. When she had cheated on him too. So I was just like, what? Why are you mad that he cheated when you're cheating too? This is a thought for everybody on the show, but like, what is the obsession with monogamy when they clearly don't want to follow the rules of monogamy? It's just like, just be polyamorous, people. Like, if all of you are cheating, like, that might be a very viable situation. I don't understand the obsession. Kristen being so unhinged. I didn't like her very much because she's just so chaotic and unhinged and just like her choices are like ridiculous. But she made those seasons have great stakes. She's important too because, you know, Tom Sandoval cheated on her with Ariana, then he got with Ariana, and then eventually cheated on her during the Scandoval thing.
You win, Ariana. You win wondering where the Tom is every night when you text him. You win not ever being sure if he's telling you the truth. And you win sharing a bed with the best liar that I've ever known.
When she came in season 10 in that last episode, I legitimately, I'm not joking, I cried seeing Kristen and Ariana like bond over Tom Sandoval being a dick and cheating. Kristen just seems so much more healed and chilled out and normal. And like, she was so supportive to Ariana and happy for her. And it's such a long ways from when she was trying to like break them up originally, when she like flew out the stripper lady to like come and say, oh, she hooked up with Tom and trying to like break them up. And I just got like emotional seeing that. She's just like grown and now she's on Ariana's side, and that endorsement was like, had a lot of weight to it, because you would think maybe she'd be bitter and be like, haha, finally you understand, you stole my man and now you lost him how you got him. But she wasn't petty, and that showed me that she's like actually grown and seems in a better place now. So let's talk about Ariana, who's kind of like the new queen of Vanderpump Rules and has come out of this scandal as someone who has like persevered and survived through so much that now she's viewed as like strong woman, which she is. It's wild because for a show about everyone having beef with each other all the time, Ariana like never had beef with anyone, it seemed like. Not really. She was very much a cool girl since the beginning. And honestly, her fashion in the early seasons is like the perfect time capsule for fashion in the early 2010s. She is the epitome of that like cool hipster girl Tumblr fashion. She was on the cutting edge of fashion at the time. But like, it's so funny because she's wearing, you know, the long necklaces, chevron patterns, that her hair is like braided like in the bangs. There was one point where I was like, I wonder if she's too cool to wear galaxy print leggings. And then literally the next scene, she was wearing galaxy print leggings, and I was like, oh my god, she did that. This was like her fashion, but also like her attitude was very that like cool girl, like nothing bothers her. And that's why I think Tom was very drawn to her. But you know, eventually she grew up, and she kind of alluded to that in the reunion, that like once she started having more of an opinion or a say, or you know, goals and a stronger career and stuff, Tom went to seek a woman that he could control and that would be like cool and chill all the time, instead of, you know, a woman who needs support and needs things at all. It was interesting to see her comment on that when the whole Scandoval thing went down, because yeah, like as women grow up, you maybe become less people-pleasy, not accepting less than you deserve. Like, it's kind of about knowing your worth and accepting what you think you deserve. And as you grow older, maybe you think you're worthy of love and deserve more than you've had in the past. I don't know. Her story is like the perfect storm to like be a victim who's now empowered and has come out the other end a successful human being. She is currently on Dancing with the Stars, which is kind of a big step. She's killing it on Dancing with the Stars, like randomly out of nowhere. She's like an amazing dancer. She's literally like in first place if you don't watch that show. I'm sure you know her other fame-hungry Vanderpump cast members are a little jealous of like the opportunities she's gotten. And she's not perfect. I don't really know how the fandom stands on that. I mean, I think for the most part she is loved and supported after all this, but you know, she did hook up with Tom when he was still with Kristen, but also I blame Tom more for all of this. Props to Ariana. There were so many great moments in the reunion. The look was on point. I hope Charlotte's ghost haunts you.
It was coming from a place of, do you want to be in this relationship? Because
The answer was yes, and you had already fucked him at that point, so shut the fuck up. Fuck yourself with a fucking cheese grater. Fuck you. You fucking suck. You're disgusting. And I wish nothing but the worst fucking shit that could ever happen to a person on you.
It was so intense, but like so good, and she like just let him have it. So next is Tom Sandoval, the man himself. We've already talked about him a bit, but this guy, he's a worm with a mustache. He didn't have a mustache in the first few seasons, but during Scandoval he did, which I think is not the best choice, but okay. I don't know what more can be said about him because he's just terrifying. Similar to Jax, he's such a pathological liar, and you can tell that like somewhere early on in his life he learned to like only admit to what you're caught doing. No matter what it is, when he's in trouble, he will only admit to exactly what he was caught about, and he will never give any extra detail. So he was caught cheating with Raquel. Well, he said, oh, we only hooked up one time and then didn't for 6 months or whatever. He will just make things up, and then later you find out that is not the truth. They hooked up a lot. He admits to only what he was caught for and then also downplays it, which is just terrifying. And it's just crazy how many times he just lies to people's faces. I mean, granted, a lot of people in the show lie to their faces and it's wild, but he, you know, was coaching Raquel and what to say. Ariana said he would coach her too back in the day, and I totally believe that because he's just such a liar. You can't trust anything he says. He's been a cheater from the very beginning. He should just be polyamorous already. Like, what is the point of monogamy? Like, He clearly is not cut out for it. And the sad thing about Sandoval, I think, is that ultimately he's gonna come out of this unscathed. The amount of hate he got, I know, is a ton. But he's still on the show, still a cast member. Lisa is very much an apologist for him. And I don't really have Lisa on my list to talk about, but she seems to make a lot of excuses for the men. She kind of seems weirdly attracted to them. I mean, they're very hot men, yes. But sometimes I'm like, does she, like, hire them as hookers sometimes? I don't know. That's just an intrusive thought I get. There was no evidence of that. But, like, she just is very much an apologist for the men. The hints are that she kind of wants to forgive Tom and for him to, like, be integrated back in the friend group. That's why this new season feels very, like, this is a turning point and I don't really know where it's gonna go. So next is Tom Schwartz, and I might hate Tom Schwartz more than anyone on this show, and that's so random because, you know, there's really evil people on here. So it's not an evil contest because, you know, we have strong competition in the evil department, but Tom Schwartz is just such a, like, schmuck. And I don't even know if I'm using that word right or what it really means, but, like, he seems like the definition of a schmuck. He has, like, Chandler Bing energy, and I mean that in the most derogatory way. And no shade, like, R.I.P. Matthew Perry. That was so sad. I love Friends, and I love Chandler Bing, but, like, it's all, like, the bad things about Chandler Bing that Tom Schwartz, like, embodies and reminds me of. He's always kind of like a sidekick to the other boys that are more, like, ego, like, big egos and have main character syndrome. He seems okay with being, you know, the best friend character instead of the main character. But the problem with that is that I feel like he uses it so much as a crutch to, like, avoid conflict. And I feel like he plays dumb a lot to get out of trouble. And he's not as dumb as he's playing it. And that's what annoys me so much about him. There's something so, like, weaselly about him. Not Weasley. Weaselly. That just rubs me the wrong way. I hate that he knew about the Scandoval cheating and helped cover it up. Like, I feel like the whole season, him trying to, like, flirt with Raquel and, you know, make out with her and all that was, like, a purposeful diversion for his best buddy. I just hate that. That seems so, like, slimy, and I hate him a lot. Like, as a character, I just hate him as a character. I hate him. Also, in those early seasons, he, like, keeps begging for a bartending gig, and then he has, like, a panic attack 30 minutes into his first shift and disappoints everybody because he had begged for so long. His panic attack is valid. The service industry is super stressful, but I just hated how he was just like, I'm just not used to working. Oh, I thought this would be just, like, mix a couple drinks and shoot the shit. And it's like, he was unemployed for a long time. Just, Tom Schwartz has so many red flags, and he flies under the radar because the evils of Jax and Sandoval are so intense that, you know, relatively Tom Schwartz seems like a nicer guy, but, like, I don't know. I hate him. He's slimy. He's still best friends with these evil guys and is willing to, like, cover up for them and shit. So he's not much better than them. And moving on to Katie, who was dating Tom Schwartz for a long time. And they were married and then divorced. I was so glad Katie and him got divorced. Like, even back in the early seasons, they seemed to hate each other. But she's also, like, keeps asking him to get engaged. Katie is also kind of, like, a sideline girl, especially to Stassi in the beginning. Like, she seems very much like the Gretchen to her Regina. But in the later seasons, I feel like Katie really has flourished. And at this point, she kind of came out on top along with Ariana. Now they're business partners, her and Ariana. But her being divorced from Tom Schwartz and, like, exploring her single life. She's also kind of the only kind of alternative person on the show. Of course, I mean that very relatively because that just means, you know, she had a weird hair color for, like, a season and maybe a couple little wrist tattoos, you know. Compared to the other girls, she seems a little more, like, edgy in how she styles or experiments with her look. And I feel like I relate to her the most out of everyone on the cast. I mean, it's still a reach, but she's cool. And Katie did come off like really bitter that last season when she was dealing with all the divorce stuff. She was being kind of petty, always complaining about Tom Schwartz and maybe him making out with Raquel and putting rules on him. But in the end, she turned out to be right, because dating someone in the friend group is not good. And also she didn't like Rachel very much. Rachel ended up fighting with the core girl group that season. They ended up like on the right side of the cheating scandal. So Katie's sitting pretty. She's also like maybe exploring queerness, which I definitely see for her as a possibility that could be cool and interesting and would be pretty progressive for a show like this. It's very hetero. Maybe Katie's headed in that direction, and I think there's a lot of women that would be very happy about that. One thing about Katie is that I don't really understand why she got the reputation of being a drunk. Like, she was known as Tequila Katie and saying a lot of like crazy shit to people. But everyone on the show is like a wild drunk and drunk half the time, and every time they party they say crazy stuff and get drunk. So I don't know why Katie was like the drunk when they're all the drunks. I don't know. So next is Scheana, and I don't have too much to say about Scheana. She's confusing to me, but she's kind of the underdog of the group. She's always a little bit on the outs. And I didn't see some of these seasons where apparently she did more problematic stuff. So by the end of season 10, I kind of liked her okay, the way she reacted to the Scandoval thing. I felt bad because Rachel put a restraining order on her and she had to like do a lot of maneuvers to like get out of the way and be 100 feet away. But a lot of people in the fandom on Reddit seem to like hate her for like problematic things in the past. She's always friends with like the wrong people. I think that's the core issue with Scheana. Just goes with whoever and then they fuck up and she's like betrayed, but then she'll befriend them again. And already apparently at BravoCon it looked like she was hanging out with Sandoval already. So
I just heard that you was saying that Lala and Scheana were in Scandoval's room last night. Lala said that's not true. I didn't talk to Scheana yet. But how did you feel about that when you heard that? It's weird.
That's kind of a hint that maybe she forgives Tom Sandoval this season. And yeah, BravoCon just happened in Las Vegas and I was following some updates. I was already. I'm that plugged in to the fandom, and low-key would love to go to a BravoCon someday. So, you know, if y'all keep watching my videos, maybe I can afford a trip to Vegas to cover BravoCon for you. Imagine, that'd be so fun. And another issue with Scheana is that she is such a pick-me. She had that one scene that like is the epitome of this, where she was choosing between riding in a van with the boys or with the girls, and she rode with the boys. She was like,
I would rather be gang banged by all 5 of you than be in a van with all 4 of them.
just in general, every time she shows up with the boys, she's like, I'm one of the guys. Textbook pick-me behavior. And I feel in those early seasons, she's like really attracted to Jax. But now she's more settled down. She has a daughter. Her marriage seems stable. It's really going to come down to what happens on season 11, where my thoughts, I think, are going to land on her, unless I see more problematic stuff in those middle seasons, where I think some things were kind of shady of her. Next, I want to talk a little bit about Raquel, aka Rachel, who was like the mistress of the Scandoval situation. She, I don't really know, like she seemed like such a sweet girl the whole time that she was on the show. Then she ended up being so cold-blooded to do something like that. That seems wild to me. And it was ironic because she kept coming for Lala, calling her a mistress and stuff, when she was literally a mistress. To me, she feels really immature, really dumb, and I don't think she's the victim either. Like, she was hugging and comforting Ariana all the time. That's like cold-blooded shit. I forgot my little my little TV. She's there now. Yeah, Raquel, and she was like engaged to James, and I was watching the episodes like that the article was saying, and there were some episodes that I was like, what is the point of this? Like, this had nothing to do with Tom Sandoval. In hindsight, it was because it was episodes about important moments with James and Rachel. I actually did not have full spoilers on Scandoval before I watched the full thing. I hadn't mentioned that yet. I didn't know who the Mistress was going to be because all I knew was Tom cheated on Ariana with a best friend. What I didn't count on was that in Vanderpump Rules, like, people's best friends change episode to episode. So I was like, who is Ariana's best friend? Scheana, because Scheana was her best friend in the early seasons, and then later seasons it was like Katie was like her close friend and stuff, and I was like, who are they talking about? The best friend? Rachel was in the friend group at that end point, and they're all like best friends technically, but like she didn't seem that close. She was close, but like best friend ended up being a way more ambiguous term than I realized, and the whole cheating scandal was pretty like low-key that I didn't know exactly who it was going to be. Leading up to that final episode where everything broke, I was gathering it was going to be Rachel, but it took me a long time, and I was glad to like not be fully spoiled on it, I guess. Rachel is confusing. Like, I just don't understand how she could be so cold-blooded, and I don't think it's fully about her age because she's like 27, 28 when it happened. She's not a baby, and Tom is way older though, but still. Unfortunately, though, I feel like she's gonna get way more of a broken career from this compared to Tom Sandoval, which I think they deserve at least equal punishment for the crime. She's kind of gone offline. She's not in the new season. Everyone hates her, and that's just kind of like the treatment Tom Sandoval should be getting if Rachel's getting it. And then the last two people that I don't have many thoughts on, they to me are like the clowns that are providing entertainment for the show. One is James Kennedy. He seems like one of the most like clout chasey of them. He admitted he just dated Kristen to get on the show. He became a DJ and forced himself, even though he was a drunk and kept getting fired. He just seems very entitled, but also he very much knows how to play the reality TV game and loves to have funny one-liners, talk shit about everybody. He's not afraid of all that. He's performing for the camera. And I feel like he was just a bandwagoner. Like, at the reunion when everyone was against Tom and Rachel, James Kennedy kept insulting Tom Sandoval, worm with a mustache. It was really funny stuff. He called him a poo-poo head at a certain point. Like, it's very childish, but it's kind of funny because it's just that absurd. For me, I thought he was just taking the opportunity to like yell at someone for a good reason. I don't actually believe he like cared that much about Tom Sandoval's cheating. I think he was just happy to like yell at somebody and say funny stuff for TV. And I wonder, like, does he have like a sense of pride because he brought in Rachel originally to the show? Like, originally she was his girlfriend and she wiggled her way onto the show because he was on there and they got engaged at Rachel and all that. I feel like he should feel guilty for bringing in Raquel to the friend group, but I would believe he feels like proud of it. That's just my theory. And then basically the female version of James Kennedy to me is Lala Kent, who came in kind of later, like, again, to fill that Stassi void, in my opinion. She went through some really weird shit with, like, her sugar daddy situation, and he turned out to be, like, a Harvey Weinstein type, but, like, way more D-list. She had a baby. So she's had some interesting plot points through the show, but she feels similar to James to me, where she just, like, says shit that's funny and, like, bold, just for the cameras to play it up. And to make good TV. At the reunion, same. She was cussing out Tom Sandoval constantly, and I feel like it was just a bandwagoner thing. Same thing with James Kennedy. Like, they're just trying to insult someone and say funny stuff. And can I say something that maybe is a bit of an unpopular opinion? I'm not quite sure. I kind of feel like she just got lucky that she sussed out Rachel in season 10. She took so much pride in that, like, I knew it. I knew Rachel was a horrible person. I knew she would do something like this. But I think she just kind of hated Rachel, and it just kind of worked out that Rachel was really shitty as a person. I don't know. Like, I think it was like half luck that Lala predicted Rachel was going to do something evil to the friend group and steal someone's man, actually. Like, it was half luck and half her sussing it out for real. That's just kind of my theory. I feel like she even probably got surprised that she called it so exactly, because I feel like she just says dramatic things all the time. I just don't know that much about Lala. I did skip a lot of her prominent seasons and episodes. So maybe I'll get more insight about her later. I really don't know how the fandom feels about her, like, at all. Chime in if you're interested. Or chime in about any of the characters, like who's your favorite, who do you like and hate, for what reasons, what are important moments of theirs that I maybe haven't seen. Those are all the cast of characters on Vanderpump Rules. Through this whole journey, I was like, why is the Scandoval situation bad when everyone on the show is constantly lying and constantly cheating on their partners? I think it was just like the perfect storm of events. You know, that it was a long-term relationship. A lot of the cast is older and more settled down. A lot of them are married, have children, have been divorced. Kind of more adult things than what they were doing early in the first few seasons. Also, just it being the double betrayal, I think, is the biggest thing, is that Rachel was so close to the friend group. They would go on group trips together. They would hook up on said trips, potentially. She would comfort Ariana about her relationship problems. She would question her about her sex life with Tom, even though she was a mistress at the time. It was just very egregious that this was happening. And then also the things Ariana had been through around that time were really sad. Her beloved dog passed away. And then when she was away at her grandma's funeral, Tom took that opportunity to, you know, hook up with Rachel in their own house. But I'm glad for Ariana. She came out on top for now. And I was excited because I looked at her Instagram and she has like the same cat as me. Which is so random, but like her cat looks exactly like mine. So now I'm just like, ooh, me and Ariana have the same cat. And I hope she wins Dancing with the Stars, even though I'm also rooting for Xochitl. One last thing I'll leave it on that I feel like was interesting and kind of pulls back the perspective here. I was kind of looking through some BravoCon clips and I came across one from a panel of producers, which, oh my god, I can't believe this is a thing, and that's why I want to go to BravoCon so bad. I don't care to hear about anything from the cast. Hearing from the producers, that's like a dream come true. I watched this segment of the producers panel where they talk about how it was in real time when they found out about Scandoval, that they had wrapped filming already, and then they just get this call from Ariana about what she found out, and they have to, in like 1 or 2 days, like mobilize the whole crew to go and continue the season and continue filming.
And Kurt had reached out to Ariana about something very pedestrian, like wanting to swing by her house and pick something up. And she wrote back, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do that because I just learned that Tom has been having an affair with Raquel for the last 7 months. And we were on this Zoom call when Kurt got this like very matter-of-fact text message. She told me, and I was just like, oh my god, and we, you know, put Bravo into it, and we were filming it again 2 days later. Right.
What struck me the most was like how the producers were talking about the situation, because it's like, you know, the worst day of Ariana's life, right? You know, her best friend betrayed her, her boyfriend of many years had this really long affair. She had already been through a lot that year, and yet these producers are like gleefully telling this story in a very like removed way, and it just felt so dystopian. Right now with like the Hunger Games coming out and that coming back into my consciousness a lot, like it felt very dystopian. Like the producers are over here like it's the worst day of Ariana's life and it's the best day of these producers' lives. It's just such a weird juxtaposition and feels very wrong but fascinating. I don't know. And they showed a preview for season 11 in one of the BravoCon panels, and they did this rendition of the intro song, which the intro song is a bop. There has not been one episode where I've skipped the intro, but in the teaser for season 11 they like slowed down the intro song and it just sounds so much more somber, so much more heavy. So I don't really know what the future holds for Vanderpump Rules. I'm seated for it, but I have no idea where this is going. These are the best days of our lives, I guess. Thank you so much for going on this journey. I know it was an interesting mix of format, but I hope you got something out of it or enjoyed just chatting it up with me about Vanderpump Rules in a one-sided way, I guess. And I've also been doing a lot of live streaming, as you saw in this video, but I've been doing some gaming, some post-finale chats of shows that are airing right now. I'm hoping to go live like fairly regularly in December, and I'm going to be posting live stream schedules on my Instagram and on my community tab here on YouTube, so make sure to check those places if you're wondering when I'm going to be live streaming. Let me know what you think of Vanderpump Rules, especially if you're a super fan. Give me the tea that fans have known, memorable moments you have of the series, or favorite moments. I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!